What up, family? It's your boy Khalil YL. The name of this video is Yeah, I cheated, but I maintained my manhood. I was still a real man. And let me explain. So, back in my past life, I was married for like 12 years or whatnot. And I used to always beat myself down because, after everything ended, like, and still to this day, like, the first thing I do, I always look at myself, right? So, I always look at myself first in every situation. I mean, that's the traits of a man, right? You always, any situation, you don't project and blame the other person, right? A man who is 80% logic and 20% emotion is supposed to reflect on himself first. You feel me? If you have a guy that you're dealing with who doesn't do that, then you don't have a man, you have a boy. So I would always reflect on myself. So after everything kind of fell apart and went south or whatnot, every single thing I would reflect on, and that was one of the things I beat myself up about. I was like, man, you cheated, etc. And then, but over time, I started to realize that, for one, I was a boy, right? Full of testosterone, not an excuse, but a boy, 22, 23. Also, growing up in dysfunction, no father, and then didn't have a positive marriage or relationship or functional relationship to look to as an adolescent. So there you have that. And then double that, she's coming from the same situation. Like, I mean, shit, I got with her, which was stupid. She was dating a married guy, but guess what? She had watched her mom date married guys, forever. So it's like it was just shit from the beginning, right? But moving along, so I would beat myself up, and then over time, I started to understand was the reason I was stepping out on side of being a boy, is that I wasn't in a relationship, in the yin, in a relationship, the female and the masculine, the yin and the yang, uh, by design, both parties have specific needs that need to be met, right? So on the female side, the female needs, she needs light, she needs attention. Um, a male needs validation, right? And a male needs that validation, that respect, to be complete and be the best he can be. He needs that from his queen, from his yin, right? And if he doesn't get that, then he's gonna have missing pieces. So what I would do is, he would have emptiness inside. So what I would do is I would go to strip clubs, date and spend time with different women, and what I realized, that I was filling that void. Because when I would go to strip clubs, like, for example, like, I would literally have wives, quote unquote wives or girlfriends in the strip club, who, when I came in, other strippers would have to say, hey, is it okay if I go talk to your guy or whatever? You know what I'm saying? But the dynamic in the strip club was, I mean, it wasn't even like a sexual thing, but it's like we would sit and talk, and all the things that, and I would get that, that validation, right? So I would always spend time in the strip clubs with these women, and then when I would go home, my kids would rush me at the rush the door. My babies would rush the door. So now I'm getting the love, right? So, and then my my ex-wife, my kid's mom, my wife at the time, I mean, it wasn't nothing. Sex was easy, so that wasn't a problem. She, that was probably the one thing that was good in our relationship. It was just, sex anytime I want. But that's the only way I would have it, though. I wouldn't even put up with it any other way, right? So I get the connection, the conversation, the emotional stuff, the validation from the outside women. I get the genuine love from my children, and then the sex from my wife, right? But hey, y'all, I didn't put this all together to shit probably recently, when I really started figuring all this shit out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just thought I was a piece of shit, right? But lastly, what made me come to the realization that, yeah, you made, bad decisions, and actually was more self, uh, destructive than anything else, But what I came to the realization is that after all of that, the miscommunication, me stepping outside, and I mean, I know she did too. Like, I mean, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is, right? But, uh, but beyond all that, I've come to realize that beyond all that, I still did my part though. I was still a real man. I went out. I think she only worked maybe a year in that relationship, maybe a year and a half. Lights were always on. We always had a place to stay. Nothing was ever even, attempted to be cut off. You know what I'm saying? Like I covered everything. The kids had the best. My two and her son had the best medical, best optical. You know what I'm saying? Best dental. You feel me? And I never brought any diseases home. Never brought any babies home. You feel me? So I, amidst all the dysfunction, I did my part. And man, I can live with that because even though I was a boy growing into a man, it was destined for me to be the man that I am today. Hey, it's been nice, y'all. It's your boy Khalil YL. I get at y'all ASAP. One love. Peace.